This one should be interesting.
La culebrilla.
So for more on what to expect for these markets in 2025, let's bring in CNBC contributor Michelle Caruso-Cabrera. She's also the CEO of MCC Global Enterprises. It's great to have you here. Well, let's start off.
So I actually met Michelle Caruso-Cabrera at, this was 2020, I want to say 20, is probably like 2012 or 2011. I wasn't an investment advisor then, but she was at a event. I had a cellular flashing company back then, and she was at an event at CES.
Off with Argentina. I mean, what another year it's had. That's 2 years of really impressive gains. Can that really continue?
That's the big question, right? So the reason this is happening, because they have a new president, Javier Milei, who came in and did what everybody knew needed to be done for decades, because that economy was a basket case, and finally did what needed to be done. He told the central bank to stop printing money. That's helped reduce inflation dramatically. He cut government spending 30% in 1 month.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
He balanced the budget. So all of those things are super important to get their fiscal house in order. He's done a lot of deregulation, but they need to do more. And so the question, to your point, is can they?
And obviously, if you're just trying to learn, deregulation always stimulates an economy, right? It just makes it easier for business, right?
Keep going on this path enough to have such incredible performance. I mean, some bond investors in Argentina made 100% last year or more.
Wow.
And if you didn't know, Argentina has defaulted on its debt so many times, it's crazy. But it's good. It seems like they, and I think people have said this before, but it seems like they're on the right path this time.
Right. So that's a big dramatic outperformance. He is on the right path. Let's see if it can keep going.
Wow, that's going to be a good one to follow. And then on the flip side, Mexico, ETF worst, I mean, sitting at 2-year lows. Got a lot on the horizon with the United States and policy. I mean, what are your expectations?
I just want to see that chart one more time. That's crazy. That's a nice return. A lot of people talk about the S&P, and listen, S&P is a little bit more robust and a little bit more resilient, but you know that's a pretty amazing return right there. So.
Dramatic outperformance. He is on the right path. Let's see if it can keep going.
Wow, that's going to be a good one to follow. And then on the flip side, Mexico, ETF worst, I mean, sitting at 2-year lows. Got a lot on the horizon with the United States and policy. I mean, what are your expectations for that region?
So it really depends on what the outcome is when it comes to negotiating with.
So Trump has been a little quiet when it comes to Mexico lately. And, you know, when Trump makes a lot of noise, I don't think he wants to do anything. But when Trump remains quiet, he's going to do something nasty. And I don't think Mexico has been proven to be our ally in any way, shape, or form, right? Especially with this new app that they have been giving, they're developing to give to illegal immigrants to evade ICE. I think he's going to come hard. I think if he's going to make an example on tariffs, it's either going to be Mexico or China, and he'll probably do Mexico first. That's just my guess.
Donald Trump, when he becomes president, you know, they're going to renegotiate the USMCA. Now, some of that weak performance that we're showing everybody right now is due to self-inflicted wounds. They had an election where the leftists got far more control of the legislature than anybody expected. And so they've been doing things that are market negative and negative for the economy and also negative for rule of law. But at the same time, they're getting lots of investment because of.
And I think if Trump doesn't do something about the cartels, the cartels are gonna run Mexico.
onshoring and nearshoring, and that fact that they have a good relationship and a good trade relationship with the United States. However, Donald Trump has promised that on day one, he's going to impose 25% tariffs on everything coming from Mexico and Canada unless they solve the issue of fentanyl and also immigrants coming to the border. So she's got to negotiate. The new president of Mexico is a woman, Claudia Sheinbaum.
And she's going the opposite direction.
She's had 2 conversations with President Trump thus far. I'm told by people familiar with that conversation that they thought it went well. That's from the U.S. side. So let's see. The one thing I would say about Mexico, the last time Donald Trump won, everyone predicted that the Mexican peso would get hammered, and at first it did. And then, because of onshoring and the renegotiation of NAFTA to the USMCA, it became one of the best performing currencies that year. So I think Mexico is much harder to predict.
Of course, because when it's
You see a power
down,
grab
it's got to go up.
geopolitical-wise with China and the U.S. in Latin America. Where do you think the sensitive spots are? Because I think all of us not have fallen asleep on this, but China is pretty in deep with a lot of different Latin American countries.
Yeah, starting in 2000, they started to make very, very aggressive investments into many parts of Latin America. Donald Trump is very concerned about this as well, and this is going to be an issue with every single country that he gets involved with. How much business are you doing with China, and why, and what are you doing in exchange? U.S. investment in Latin America has actually kept pace with China, and if not, it's a little bit more. However, the way the Chinese invest, they do it in a big way, right? The state does it. They do it state to state. They do business with governments that our government would not do business with, right? They don't hold businesses and countries accountable in a way
Growth
that
at any
U.S.
cost.
investors tend to do, because they have to deal with the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, because they believe in rule of law, because they care about returns, whereas the Chinese government often doesn't care about returns. They're
It's
trying
not
to
growth.
achieve something else. So it's absolutely centered to the battleground between the U.S. and China.
That's scary. So, I think I mentioned this before. I'm an investment advisor. If you made it this far, listen, if you want to join me on Twitch, ask me any questions. I'm here for you. As you can see, I'm pretty sure there's nobody on there right now. But if you'd like to join the conversation, man, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to answer any questions you have.